Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast. Okay, today we're going to be talking about something interesting, how to get some money back, but also what goes wrong with your Amazon FBA fulfillment process and how do you get reimbursements. So we're going to be discussing what can go wrong with the FBA process, how do sellers get reimbursed and what steps can we take, and finally, how can you determine how much certain products cost and if they're even profitable? All right, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce process podcast.
Lunch with Norm.
Like I mentioned, we're talking about Amazon FBA fulfillment process, not podcast, process, and how to get reimbursed. Our guest today is CGO of Sifted. He is a supply chain final mile delivery expert focused on simplifying the complexities of transportation. He's an experienced entrepreneur with a demonstrated history of success in business, startup, and growth. My guest today is Caleb Nelson, and we're going to talk to him right after our sponsor. A big thank you to our sponsor, Post Purchase Pro, the only complete A to Z done-for-you real email and text marketing service built specifically for Amazon sellers. My friends Sean Hart and Seth Stevens co-founded Post Purchase Pro after launching over 1,000 successful private labeled products, growing 53 brands, and get this, exiting 17 businesses. Post-Purchase Pro creates all of your digital assets 100% for you, from marketing inserts, complete sales funnels, email follow-up sequences, and weekly email promotions. They manage and optimize everything for you to drive more sales, get higher ranking, and receive more reviews on Amazon. So check out Post Purchase Pro now to see if you too will see enormous growth like their nearly 500 clients worldwide. That's Post Purchase Pro at postpurchasepro.com/lunch. All right, where is the boy Blunder?
It's me. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to the Lunch with Norm podcast. We're here. And can't wait for today's episode. Just want to give some shout outs to our Beard Nation. We've got Cool Hand 99 joining us. We've got Simon. He's back, but he's got COVID. Sorry to hear that, Simon.
No!
I hope you're feeling better. And Ravi from LinkedIn. So great to see everyone. This is a live podcast. So if you have questions, well, we hope we have the answers. So put them over in the comment sections. Let us know where you're watching from. Have you dealt with Amazon FBA reimbursements before? Have you got any money back, any luck? Let us know in the comment sections. We're going to be doing, a bunch of fun stuff today. We've got a giveaway, and we can jump into it. Before we get started, though, make sure you smash those like buttons. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying today's episode. And also join our Facebook group. We have a great webinar happening on Friday with Carbon 6. Clayton from Carbon 6 is going to be going through some of the tools they offer, and they've told me that they're going to give away some free months of software. So check it out. You won't want to miss it. For all details, go to Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and eCommerce Collective. And I think that's it from me. Except for you YouTubers, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's that big button down there. Give it a smash and also ring that bell. I think that's it from me, and we can jump into it.
Okay. So I got to ask Simon, first of all, I guess when you're with 400,000 people, some people are going to get COVID, but how do you feel being at probably one of the most exciting F1 races ever? So I watched it and I was envious. I knew that Simon was at the F1 at Silverstone last weekend. So anyways, I would have given anything. I don't know if I'd want COVID, but that was exciting. All right, now that's a different rabbit hole. Let's get back out of the rabbit hole and start talking about our today's topic. So if you do have questions, throw them in the comments section and sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and welcome Caleb.
Hey, Norm, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Hey, and if we can just talk about F1 racing for the whole hour, I'd be like totally happy about it.
Oh my gosh. That is one of my favorites. But way before, what is that? The F1, the Netflix series came out.
Yeah.
Those are all now, all those fans are posers. I'm an old G.
Yeah, I restore old kind of classic cars as a hobby. It's kind of, my thing that I tinker with. And when you said it best, it's a rabbit hole. Once you get down that rabbit hole, it just progresses more and more and more. And it's all things cars for me. I love it.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. But unfortunately, not everybody does.
Yeah.
And I should mention, I did see, I'm not sure who the Facebook user is, but Wheel of Kelsey. We've changed the format, and just kind of pay attention, listeners. We used to get the Wheel of Kelsey, at the very beginning, and there'd be tons of Wheel of Kelsey and people who entered Wheel of Kelsey. We've changed the format a little bit. We wanted to make sure that people who entered the contest actually wanted the product, the actual product or service. So what we've done is halfway through this, we're going to talk about Wheel of Kelsey, and there's going to be a mystery word. You add the mystery word, then you're entered. So anyways, it cuts down on some of the entries, but it's people who really want the product or service. And I think that's the best way of doing it. Okay. All right. So Caleb, let's talk about, the topic of the day. What can possibly go? Don't every FBA shipment, doesn't it always go through 100%?
It's so funny. I talk to a lot of people that they think like, oh, dude, Amazon's got everything pulled together. I'm so surprised that there's any money that I could possibly get back from Amazon. A lot of people have the perception that Amazon has the best technology. Everything is RFID tagged. There is no such thing as a lost shipment or a damaged shipment. Or where there is a possibility for refunds that could potentially come back to you. In reality, sellers are owed money, and it's different than necessarily like saving money. You have a company that's out there that owes you money, that has that designated for you and for your business because of issues that they've caused for you that you might not even know about. And for some reason, there is an emotional connection to having a company that you work with that you didn't know that they owe you money versus I'm just going to go out and try to save some money. So we help companies really go through that process of saying, look, how much does Amazon owe me? And what's the process in getting that back?
Okay. I'm just turning down my volume a little bit because you're coming in loud, not for everybody else, but just for me. I'm an old guy and I usually crank things up. My hearing today seems to be working. So yeah, let's talk about like the process. So all of a sudden you find out, or you don't know that you're owed money. How do you even start to figure it out?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can be able to do it as an Amazon seller, but really the core of it, we try to make it as simple as possible here at Sifted. It's really what we've done is hit the reset button on the FBA audit process. What that means is we've made it stupid simple. So an Amazon seller can go to our website, link their Seller Central account with a one-button click, and without putting in anything in, credit card information or talking to anybody, they get a full report of how much they're owed from Amazon. So it's relatively simple, straightforward, and direct. And we make it really, like I said, stupid simple. If you want to be able to do it on your own, you can absolutely do that on your own, pulling reports and looking for discrepancies, lost inventory, damaged inventory, and doing that through a number of reports. It is possible, but this is the whole reason why FBA auditors exist in the marketplace, is to simplify it and to make it really easy. We, I think, are the easiest to deal with in the market space. A one-button click and you're emailed a report. Like I said, you don't have to talk to anybody. That's the best part. Sometimes in the new way of signing up for things and going through things, I know if I'm a user and I get to a spot where it's like, contact us to talk to somebody for next steps, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Or, put in a credit card, I'm out. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and for people to connect their Seller Central account. see how much they're owed, and then they can make the decision if they want to move forward from there.
Okay. And I want to talk about your company specifically a little bit later on. Right now, if I was that seller and I didn't have that report, I'd be really curious to see, how do you reconcile? There's so many fees. Like it could be on the storage side. I've had that happen, by the way, where there was a huge discrepancy between what I was being charged and what I should be owed, and trying to get that money back was tough to do. But let's go down the pipeline a little bit. What are the different types of fees that you're looking for when you're doing an audit? If you had to do this manually, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. So there's a whole slew of them, but at the end of the day, what we're looking for is anything that is possibly made available for you that Amazon made a mistake on. So if you think of the FBA process and you sending, kind of first step, you sending material or your widgets or gizmos that you're selling on Amazon to Amazon for them to distribute out. A common one is, let's say you send them 200 widgets to put into their inventory. Amazon's in their website and kind of the Seller Central account will say, great, Norm, I got all 180 of them. Thank you.
Right.
They're not going to tell you that you're 20 short. And they're going to assume that you fat fingered and meant to say 180 when you accidentally sent 200. So it's up to you as an individual Amazon seller to go through that, reconcile it, and say, no, Amazon, I sent you 200. Here's documentation that I sent you 200. You only have 180, which means that you've probably lost it. And being able to file for those claims is definitely part of that, along with items that might be damaged, bad inventory, wrong inventory being sent, lost warehouse. There is a whole slew of things that is a possibility on it. Really, at the end of the day, all of this is its data, and mining that data to look for areas of improvement is, I think, the number one thing that Amazon sellers should be focused on. I've been doing that for about 20 years. That's my background, is I work with companies to help them understand their data better. And what we're looking at is we're looking at all things in the invoice data and the processing data from Amazon to say, what are the mistakes that keep happening, even outside of the audit, that you might not even be aware of, that is hidden in the data because Amazon's not being super forthcoming about telling you these are the problems that are coming up.
How long can you claw back?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because it depends on where you're selling in the world, but up to about 9 months, we can pull in historical data on and look for additional cost savings there and reimbursements.
So you can still claw back that far?
Yeah, there's some really interesting things that our software can do. Not every single audit point will allow us to go back that far, but we have some that can. So it is definitely available. And if you haven't done it in a really long time, if you haven't done it at all, it's probably a great exercise to go through to determine what is available based upon where you're selling in the world.
Yeah, we had a client years ago when you could go all the way back before they put a throttle on it, and he got over $100,000 back.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to see that come up. I mean, there's really two camps that we see that people kind of reside in when it comes to FBA audit. One camp is you've got sellers who have like no clue that it even exists.
Right.
That you've got money that is a potential for you to go out and get back from Amazon. And then you've got the second crew that is really savvy and they're doing it in-house on their own. They have individuals that data experts that they go through and go through the data and they reconcile and do some audit history there. And what's kind of interesting is really the FBA audit process is really heavy on kind of the gain share shared savings focus. There is an option where individual FBA sellers can choose to do it themselves using software, our software, and it's a flat fee, so you don't have to share in any type of a gain share. Usually how it works is if you have an FBA auditor, they're going to take 25% or maybe 30% of whatever recovered savings they can get. But that kind of leaves out half of the market that says, hey, I do this on my own. I just want better technology to be able to do it, and I don't want to split it or share it with anybody. So that's definitely an option that's out there that's kind of cool and different, that we're seeing a lot of really smart technology kind of jump into the FBA audit process.
I've talked to a bunch of sellers about this, and one of the fears they have, and I find this kind of interesting, but some of the fears that they have is Amazon's going to retaliate on them.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
Absolutely. And I think that there is, you have to be careful in who you select to do an FBA audit on, or who you choose to, connect to do your FBA audit. There are some FBA auditors out there that aren't necessarily compliant with Amazon, or they're doing things that could potentially put your account at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not fear mongering by any means, but you do need to be aware that if the process is not necessarily standard and compliant with Amazon, you do run that risk. So Amazon doesn't really like you using bots to go through and utilize audit history and software to be able to do that, and a whole slew of other things that make you not necessarily compliant with Amazon. And I think it's really important that whoever you select for your Amazon audit, you trust that they are compliant and that you're not running any type of risk. It's a really interesting point, though. And I think, it's one thing I'm really proud of with Sifted is we've got a really great relationship with Amazon. So a lot of people think, oh, Amazon must hate you. No, you just need to make sure that you're doing things correctly with dealing with Amazon. And we provide a lot of value back to Amazon itself. So it's kind of an interesting relationship that's there.
Yeah. I guess if you're doing anything ethical and proper, you could build a good relationship. I have heard that people have spent bad money on trying to do things really on the cheap, or just not using the right app, or not using the right company. And I can tell you, I know of a company, or I know of a few people that decided that they're going to go to Fiverr. Fiverr was going to who they picked. I don't know who the individual was, but they caused so much trouble and so much grief that the company suspended their account. It was suspended. It suspended their account because of the ways that they were doing it. Other times, what they did is the company that was doing this on Fiverr wanted the funds so bad that it caused the listing to be, it was suppressed for a couple of weeks while Amazon was doing counts or inspections.
Yeah.
And it just became a nightmare. So I've got a question to the audience. So Anybody who's listening, have you or are you claiming reimbursements? And if so, have you had positive or negative effects from it? So just let us know. Okay, so I'd love to get some questions in, about this, how you're doing it, or if you have any questions at all, just let us know. Caleb's here to answer them for you. Any horror stories that you've heard of, Caleb?
Yeah, it's one thing I think a lot of people don't fully get, that when you get suspended and you're not necessarily in omni-channel or multi-channel areas to sell your product, that's your business being shut down.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal. If you can think of like the internet regulating and telling an e-commerce shop that sells on their own website, nope, you can no longer sell on your own website. What that would do to that individual business is pretty much shut it down. That's kind of, I would say, the risk in using an FBA auditor that's not necessarily doing things correctly. And I've seen it happen on a number of occasions. And usually it has to do with, using bots, international outsourced individuals that are doing some of the processing or creating documentation that might not necessarily exist. So oftentimes, in order to get Amazon to understand that that you sent them 200 widgets, you have to provide documentation in order to be able to do it. Well, sometimes made up documentation and false documentation can get you in serious trouble.
I literally just heard this, I think it was last week or the week before, that a guy got nailed because he hired a guy on Fiverr. They provided false documents, and there goes the account. So I like saying this all the time. There's a time to spend good money, and there's a time to spend bad money. And
Yes.
I don't like spending bad money at all, but there is, for something like this, you have to be above board. Leave it to the experts. Now, if you want to do it yourself, by all means do so. And I can tell you that you're probably leaving money on the table. Experts, just like any agency, just like a PPC agency, or just if it's an expert, or if it's an app that works properly and it's a paid app, usually the good ones are paid, but you're paying for a price. Just like a good networking group or mastermind, you pay the price for the quality of what you're receiving. So anyways, do it at the start. You might want to do it yourself, but I'm letting everybody know I highly recommend that you go with an expert when it comes to trying to get reimbursements.
Yeah. One thing to piggyback on that do-it-yourself side, I think most people want to figure out how to do it themselves, or they're okay trying to figure it out how to do it themselves. I think when you do it without the right technology, you're right, you do leave money on the table. And there are definite audit claims that don't necessarily come back to you that they should. And then number two, you have an option of necessarily doing things incorrectly and not necessarily above board. I think what's really interesting is using smart technology to let individuals do it themselves in a proper fashion, where it's capturing every audit and it's giving them the proper format so that they're doing things above board. So one thing that's kind of unique about us is you can have us do it and we'll do it for you, or we give you the tools and you do it for yourself, but it's above board and it's capturing every audit available.
Very good. Why would you not?
Yeah,
and
it's free money sitting out there, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying just go with your software. I mean, we all know a bunch of people who do this, either go in and do it themselves, so it's a managed service, or there's apps. But why would you not use it? Why do you want the hassle? It's a pain in the butt. And how much time is your time worth?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And are you an expert in it? It's a pain. That's the weakness of mine. Show me a number, I'll show you two. I mean, it's just, I just, financial accounting is not my strength. I know it, I have to, but it's something I like the creative side of things. One of the other things, we were talking about, or some of the things I want to bring out is, how do you determine, certain costs, like product costs, and if they're profitable?
Oh, that's an awesome one. So oftentimes sellers, they're not necessarily calculating their total cost and then assigning that total cost on a per SKU basis or per product basis. When you add in the variety of fees that Amazon can charge, storage fees, warehouse fees, let alone if it's an oversized or tend to be a bulkier item that you're selling. A lot of those can erode or eat a massive amount of your profit or total margin on a per SKU basis. And there are reports that you can run in your Amazon Seller Central account that you can be able to go through and calculate that. But I think that, look, like to your point, everybody should have an audit. Like the audit it should be a safety net that should be there running in the background at all times for every single seller. But what I've seen the most underutilized for Amazon sellers is understanding the data, understanding those fees and how those fees impact a per SKU basis. There are some sellers that once they understand that will tend to drop SKUs when they don't realize that there are some SKUs that are not nearly as profitable as they thought or actually costing them money. So a big thing that I'm a huge advocate and believer of is understand your data and understand how your data or the data from Amazon impacts you as a seller and how you can make better decisions by once you understand that data.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, great point. You could be out 50 cents and that could make a difference between a winning product and a losing product. We're constantly, a matter of fact, we have a spreadsheet. Oh my gosh. I just gave it to my son, Hayden. So he's doing some calculations for us. And, we put any and everything. If we put in a tissue into some of our boxes, how much does that cost? Yeah. If we're taking it from, everything, and you have to, because if you say, oh, even a one-time fee, oh, there was a die charge for a new box. Okay, let's, prorate it over the 5,000 boxes that we purchase, because that cost has got to be picked up somewhere. Anyways, we talk about it. We talk about knowing your numbers. It's so important. And profitability, it's get rid of the dying. Like if something's not selling, or if something's selling, you could be selling a ton of it. I can give you a perfect example. Right now, I'm working with a client who's selling about $1.5 million, and he's making nothing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. I worked with another company that was selling $10 million. Okay. And they were losing $100,000 a year. Yeah. On Amazon. Yeah. And they were, and what's crazy is, these are the people come out, oh, I'm a $10 million seller. Well, yeah, but really.
How much is hitting the bottom line?
Yeah. It's all top line, no bottom line. But it's so important. So let's go through that again. So how does, how would your app, I'm kind of curious about this. How does that fix that problem?
So it does a number of things. The business is kind of in an evolution, meaning you have an FBA audit that is constantly an always on audit service that is TOC compliant, Amazon compliant, and it's going to make sure that everything's above board. Beyond that, how do sellers get more value? How do they improve? How do they become the best version of a seller that they can be? Well, it's in the data. And the system goes through and builds a number of dashboards for you as an Amazon seller to be able to absorb information of finding out what's working well and what's not working well. And to do that is extremely simple. It's a one-click button to link your Amazon Seller Central account to a secure database software, Sifted, and it will populate dashboards within 4 hours and show you all metrics around your seller account that you probably haven't seen before. So really interesting things like a sales heat map. What parts of the United States are you selling? What states are you selling the most product in? How much revenue are you selling? What SKUs are you selling most product in? And by understanding some of that information, you can better be able to market to better parts of the United States, run ad campaigns, be able to improve. So we kind of feel like the audit isn't always like it's kind of a duh thing. Everybody should have an audit. That money should be there and it's safe and secure. But beyond that, what can you do to improve it? From sales heat map to understanding your fees, to understanding your storage fees over year and over peak season, over Q4. There is a whole slew of specific items that might not necessarily be a flip of a switch to change your entire business. But by understanding the knowledge, understanding the data, you're empowered to make better decisions as the year progresses. And as you say, should I continue to carry this SKU? What should I add for a new SKU? how can I reduce my overall fees? I think there's a really interesting thing about being the best version of yourself. And I think that's done by data.
And I had no idea about the heat map, but that just gives me a great idea. So if you can easily pinpoint what areas, and usually there's 5 cities. So, the 5 main cities that you're selling into, but there might be other areas that you're selling to as well. But within those 5 cities, geo-target, are there any areas that are 350,000 or less? Then you can start writing press releases, and those and this is a whole different rabbit hole, but content marketing. You could write press releases, target the cities, and be number 1 in those areas. You could create small events. You could, let's say it's a dog product. You could sponsor some shows over there.
Yeah.
If you already know that those are the areas that people are buying in, then focus your marketing energy over at those areas. So that's I had no idea you could do that, but targeting, even if you're looking at Google, if you're doing Google ads, okay, don't waste your money on these other cities. Target these 5 or 10 cities. Now you're spending your money. People are buying over there. Maybe you're driving people back to Amazon or over to your Shopify store, but it's money well spent rather than just throwing it out.
Yeah, it's one of those things that not only can you track that from a marketing standpoint, but instead of looking at it from traffic or clicks or ads to the cart, you can track it based upon actual real dollars that were sold and real product that was shipped to that specific area to understand the effectiveness of that campaign. And all of that is really found in the data. And that data, Amazon houses all of that data. It's your data as a seller. They I wouldn't say intentionally make it complicated to get that data out of it, but it's definitely not easy.
All right.
In order to get a lot of that stuff, you have to take like a dozen or so of those reports and combine them together in a massive Frankenstein style report in Excel.
Yep.
And you have to be an Excel nerd to be able to do it. Excel's a great tool. I love Excel, but sometimes it feels like you're trapped in Excel hell when you try to figure out some of this stuff. And let alone visualizing it on kind of geospatial mapping or from a graph standpoint or some visualizations that you can share easily with team members becomes a challenge in of itself. So there's a whole slew of that. One other thing on that sales heat map that's interesting is the Nexus tax rule that has been released of Amazon sellers or e-commerce businesses paying their taxes based upon revenue that they sold in a particular state. Are you familiar with this at all, Norm? Have you heard about this?
I might have. Right now, I'm listening.
It's one of those things that it's a relatively new rule that they've come out with that makes it really challenging for e-commerce businesses to understand how they pay their taxes on a per state basis. The Nexus tax rule means that you have to pay sales tax on a per state basis, which means you have to understand how much inventory you've sold on a per state basis. Mm-hmm. And being able to do that can be really challenging sometimes. So a lot of people have found value in seeing like, okay, I want to see my sales on a heat map by state that I can, pay proper taxes, and I know that I'm not going to get audited later on.
Right. So, well, I'm going to get back to that, but I'm looking. We're about halfway through. So, anyways, if you're interested in our deal today, Kelsey, come on. Where are you?
All right.
What are we doing? And I should mention anybody who wasn't at the top of the show. We're doing things a little bit differently with Wheel of Kelsey. We're putting a mystery word in. So just if people are really interested in the product or in the service, then enter. If we're seeing just generic Wheel of Kelsey's, we don't even know if you know what the product is. So Kelsey, take it from there.
All right, we're going to keep it simple today. Hashtag reimbursement. So you'll need 2 hashtags, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey and hashtag hashtag reimbursement to enter. You can tag 2 people. And when we mean tag, that is the @ sign and then the person's name. So if you tag 2 people, you'll get entered twice. And Caleb, do you want to explain the prize?
Yeah, so we're Whoever wins gets their own individual coupon code or discount code that if they do want to sign up for our services, it gives them 50% off for 3 months. So for a full quarter, you get half off on anything, reimbursements, any fees, anything that you'd want to do to sign up for the software. It's a great deal and can be worth a lot of money if you're owed a lot of money from Amazon.
And I want to explain that the deal that you're offering, so it's a flat fee, and if you're owed money, you're gonna this is free money for you. You're not paying on top of it.
Yeah,
so that's correct, right?
Yeah, you have two options. You have a self-serve option. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be able to do it yourself and use software and do it above board and capture all the audits, that's at a flat fee, and that's totally there and available. If you don't want to have any worries dealing with it or have to deal with it yourself and you want us to do it for you, similar to like a Gatita or anything else like that, where it's a full service, we do that, and it's 20% reimbursement fee. And either one, the code is half off for 3 months.
Okay, very good.
Also, so sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Caleb. I was talking to Grayson off air, and he said we'd be able to do something special and do a premium tier that'll waive the $59 monthly fee as well as the 20% gain share fee. So sorry to throw that at you, Caleb.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Even better, even better for people. So drop that hashtag in there, and I'm stoked for whoever wins. It's a great deal.
Okay, so Kelsey, just because I have a limited brain, I'm old. What are we giving away today?
All right, so we're going to give away 1 free month of Sifted's premium tier. So that'll waive the monthly fee as well as the 20% gain share fee of the reimbursements. And Grayson wants to let everyone know that there is a free code for everyone listening for the enhanced tier. So we'll be dropping that as well.
There you go. Awesome. And you didn't even know it, Caleb. So there you go.
Hey, look, Grayson's going to bat for everybody on this call because that's a freaking awesome deal. I love that.
Grayson, just watch out. Caleb's going to be on a rampage when he gets off the call. So,
you owe me lunch, Grayson. Just kidding.
So, all right. So that's the deal. All right. Now, for those of you who don't want to spell a multisyllabic word, just like me, I can't even pronounce multisyllabic words usually. You could also put hashtag money. It'll all work. Okay. Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, hashtag reimbursement or money, and tag 2 people. You get entered twice. This is an awesome prize. Okay. Now let's have a word from our sponsor. Anytime, Kels.
All right. Just
anytime.
Just type. All right. Here we go. Word from our sponsor.
Thank you to our sponsor, Startup Club, the largest club on Clubhouse with over 790,000 members and growing. They're one of the world's largest communities supporting the startup ecosystem, from founders to those wishing to work for a startup and everything in between. You can find them at www.startup.club for blogs, recordings, and a calendar of upcoming shows, and on the Clubhouse app. Just search Startup Club for daily shows 24/7. You can also now listen to their show, the Serial Entrepreneur Club podcast, on Apple and Spotify too. Stop by to connect, learn, and grow together. All right, and I just want to go back to that deal. This is one of the best deals I think that we've offered. Like, you're going to be able to go get the premium service and not pay, like the 20% is waived for the first month. So that is free, absolutely free money in your pocket. And my thought is you'll probably, I can't guarantee it, but knowing what I've done in the past, Amazon probably is holding something back. So anyways, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, hashtag reimbursement or money, tag 2 people, you get a second entry. Now there are a lot of questions coming in, so I'm just going to nail you with a couple more.
Yeah.
But okay. So is there any threat of of Amazon causing a problem. And I'll give you an example. One of the things that I've seen is that there was a package and it was made with, there was memory foam on the inside. And so the memory foam, it over time would expand. And so what happened was Amazon kept charging a much higher rate, but the box was small. And because the company went back legitimately and went back because it would expand 1/4 inch on each side, they were getting charged a premium. So is there a threat that, your listing could be affected?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting, and I come from the world of UPS and FedEx delivery, post office delivery. They all have massive amounts of fees. Like UPS and FedEx have over 150 individual fees that they can charge on a per shipment basis, and Amazon has taken a playbook out of FedEx and UPS's playbook series that they run on a regular basis, which means there are multiple fees that Amazon can charge you based upon the size of the box, if the box changes, if it's 2 inches off or whatever it is. And sometimes they are absolutely legitimate. Sometimes they are not legitimate and need to be fought. But it is kind of hidden in that whirlwind of data behind the scenes of constantly selling your Amazon product online. So there is no risk if it is a legitimate way to go back to Amazon and to ask for additional money back on overcharges or on damage or on lost. There is a whole slew of those different items. But ultimately what it comes down to is Amazon's getting more complicated in how they're pricing, how they're invoicing, and what fees that they're tagging on your account. Having good transparency, regardless if you use Sifted or not, having good transparency of understanding where those charges take place, how they're being applied, is something every seller should be looking at.
Okay, great answer. Another one, a little bit down a different rabbit hole, but I think this is important going back to saving money. And that's, how do you optimize, like when you're looking at shipping data, how do you optimize the different networks for faster or cheaper or more sustainable shipping?
Yeah, so it's really kind of interesting. If you are using FBA and that whole process, that's going to go in Amazon's like normal network. If you're doing FBM, where you are being fulfilled by merchant and you're selling on a Shopify account or your own website or whatnot, there's some really interesting ways that you can be able to look at that data to reduce cost. Some of my favorite ways of being able to do it is looking at ways to reduce point A to point B transit. So if you are an East Coast business and most of your product is being sold in the West Coast, you're paying the most because it's going cross country. It is not sustainable because it is being shipped the longest distance using the most amount of fuel, and it's more susceptible to being damaged because it's being handled by the carriers more. The question is when you understand your data, you can understand, where should I be shipping some of my product from to reach my customers faster for less money? And looking at that data and looking at it from a way to be able to reduce that transit time also helps with sustainability a lot. So we're talking about two different things. One is kind of FBA process and how Amazon will distribute that throughout their network. You don't have a whole lot of control over that. But the FBM process, if you're selling anything on your website or with Shopify, you have a lot of control, a lot more control than what you think you have. And there are plenty of Amazon sellers that also sell their product elsewhere that are looking for ways to be able to go omni-channel and make better decisions, but have the data in one spot so that they can be able to say, this is how I need to be more sustainable. This is how I can be cheaper. This is how I can be faster or more effective.
All right. Well, we have a ton of questions that have come in from the listeners. So, Kels, do you want to start going through them?
Yeah. So the first couple were just some comments that I thought were needed for this conversation. So the first one is Tony. I've had to discontinue many high-end price points because I was always fighting with Amazon and returns. Amazon runs the risk of being known for low-end products like eBay. Redbeard said, I've claimed missing inventory a couple of times. Seems like a hassle, though. I've always let a few missing units go instead of dealing with the hassle. Let me see.
So what
so one
about that? So I'd like to hear, Caleb, your response to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they try to do it on their own, it's like, this is not worth it. Like, it's a lot of time. Like, to your point earlier, Norm, about time, it gets to a point where it's like, my time is more valuable than trying to deal with some of these claims.
Right.
That might be a $150 claim or a $200 claim. But when you have hundreds of those claims, that's a hell of a lot of money that you can go through. It's just time to be able to do it. That's why services like us kind of exist.
Okay, great.
Okay. So one thing that was coming up, I think, consistently over the comments was sellers being scared of letting a third-party software into their account. So from Dawan, I've also been scared to let third-party companies into my account. So much hacking going on. And I believe there's another one. But do you have anything, any comment about that issue?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is what's going to happen at the end of this month. Amazon is deprecating their old API. Their old API allows for that transfer of data to go from you as a seller to them and back to you, so you can absorb that data. That's the flow of data. Amazon is discontinuing their old API, and they have built a brand new API that is faster, more secure, and has more options for more data to look at. The interesting part is that very few people that are gathering that information or FBA auditors that are currently in existence are pulling in that data through the new API. Sifted, we are built on that new API only. So it is the most secure way that you can possibly get your Amazon data back to you. And it is 100% through Amazon in a secure fashion. What's interesting is Amazon themselves have said that 30% of all FBA auditors are on the new API. 70% are still on the old API that is being shut off, beginning to get shut off at the end of this month. So if you have an FBA audit that's currently happening, a good question to ask is, what API are you using? And are you prepped for that new API? The new API is super secure, super fast, more access to more data, which means more access to more money.
Great answer. All right, Kels.
Oh, okay. Next one from Coolhand99. At what level of inventory or sales volume is it really worth paying for an Amazon audit?
So I think if you're going to go like a traditional FBA audit style and have somebody professionally do it for you, I think $200,000 or above in annual sales is always good. However, the self-serve model that is available out there, that model is available for anybody to use, and it is cheap enough that you're not going to be underwater on it. And it's always good to go out there and look to see what you've got available. It kind of also depends on the worth of your product. If you're selling higher end product, a couple of damage or lost is going to make a big number.
Right.
Might not have a ton in sales, but you do have higher end product that could potentially be in refunds back to you.
Yeah. So whatever you're selling, depending on the model, just do it. Kelsey?
Okay, a question from Tony. What do you think of Refund Genie from Helium 10?
I think that there's a number of great options that are out there. Refund Genie is a good option too. There's a kind of a slew of FBA auditors that are out there right now. The idea is, who gives you great dashboards and data on top of kind of that always on audit, and just make sure that no matter what you're using or whoever you're using, that they're using the new Amazon API that is more secure, faster, more data, more access to more refunds. Oftentimes, it's not easy for those big companies or FBA auditors to transition from one API that they've built their protocols on to a new API. And you want to make sure that your FBA auditor is set and ready to go for Amazon's new API. If that gets shut off, so does access to your data, and so does access to your money. meaning your audits. So you're going to want to make sure that it's set up and ready to go.
Perfect.
Okay, and just a couple more. Let's see, from Darwin. Guys, if anyone on here does not have the transparency program, get it. I went through hell getting rid of hijackers. Don't wait till it happens like me. Any thoughts on transparency program?
I think for me, it's all about the transparency. Again, the audit is great. Get that money that's owed to you. But the real gold is in what you're going to find once you have transparency of what's happening in your seller account. Darwin talked about hijackers. There's also a lot of other things that are funky things that can be happening on your seller account that you might not fully know about. It's kind of like your bank account. If you don't have a good handle on your bank account and what's being spent, sometimes you might not know when somebody's using your credit card or when you signed up for a service you didn't mean to sign up for, and that's being dinged on a monthly basis. It's all part of that transparency to make sure that you're doing things correctly and it's clean.
Yeah, I for the right products, the transparency program is fantastic. If you're doing, like I sell soap, it doesn't make sense to put the transparency sticker on, a $10 bar of soap. It might, if I had a ton of hijackers, I'd have to figure that out. But yeah, that sticker, that program, first of all, I don't know if you know this, but it's not an Amazon program. Transparency is a program that's run by a separate company that's set up to make sure that it stops counterfeiters. If you have the right price point for a product, or if you're finding that you're getting a lot of counterfeiters that are coming onto your product, transparency is worth its weight in gold. And it's very easy to get set up. And I don't know if they're still doing this, but I know a couple of months back, they were offering your own agent to work with you to get up and going. And it was very good. I was working with a couple of clients that ended up adding transparency to their products. So just a thought.
Okay, and our last question from MM. How do you deal with an item that was damaged in transit to the customer from FBA? Customer emailed once they received the item in damaged condition, but FBA claims it's customer damaged and it's not eligible for reimbursement due to customer damage.
I think there's always going to be some audit points that make it difficult to be able to get back from Amazon. Amazon's going to want to point the finger elsewhere. And I think by following the right protocol, having the right documentation and getting it through, it's relatively easy. But you do run into those situations where there's a lot of finger pointing back at each other, and that makes it somewhat challenging. The idea is to prove that where that damage took place, and if it was in the hands of Amazon before they handed it over to the client, and we can show that with some right data or documentation. Getting that approved from Amazon in a refund isn't necessarily a challenge, and they have protocols built to kind of go through that. But there are always situations where it's he said, she said situation and becomes challenging.
Yeah, and one other thing, forget, like, the finger pointing is one thing, and you can let Amazon and your customer go back and forth. You'll probably be the liaison between the two. But at the end of the day, get a new product out to them.
Yeah, take care of the client.
Yeah, take care of the client. It's all about customer service. Amazon customers expect it. And look, if I've sent them the wrong scent, or if they are saying that my soap melted, I am giving them, or if they don't like the scent, what other scent do you want? Here you go. I'm sending you two. I want to make sure I deal with my customer and that they give me a 5-star review. They're not going to give me a 5-star review if they're bickering back and forth with Amazon.
Very true.
Yeah. So I think that's probably it. How about this is, if you haven't done the entry for the Wheel of Kelsey today, it's #Wheel of Kelsey, #reimbursement or money, and tag 2 people, and you can be added as a second entry. Other than that, let's run a sponsor, and then we'll come back to the Wheel of Kelsey. Anytime, Kels. Anytime. You're slow on the button today. You just awkward moments. Do you want me to start singing a song? Caleb, you know any good songs?
Yeah, a cappella. Here we go.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Where the hell is he? How about I do it? I'll just add Honu. So maybe we're not doing it. Maybe he's gone. I think he's gone. So much. He's fired. Fired. Turf his butt. And he's in charge of the Wheel of Kelsey. And he's turning on the podcast. So we might be talking for hours. How many hours you got today?
Let's actually have lunch. I'll grab some Taco Bell and sit down and have some lunch.
True, lunch with Norm. Okay, well, I guess we're kind of stuck here. I don't know what the Wheel of Kelsey's going to be. I'll tell you what, though.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Holy crap!
Sorry.
Where have you been?
I know. I disappear for 5 minutes, and yeah, the Wi-Fi here is just something is going on with the StreamYard. I'm lagging behind, but here we're going to try and run to a sponsor and see how that goes.
If you're selling on Amazon in 2022, you know how important it is to stand out from your competition. Let Honu Worldwide lend a helping hand with your product innovation to outcompete your competition online. That's right. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the success of your newly innovative product while Honu handles all the work. Visit HonuWorldwide.com for more information. That's Honu, Honu, worldwide.com, or email savings@HonuWorldwide.com. Simon, I saw your post down here, and I would try, but I'm completely dyslexic. So it would be a really horrible read. Anyways, all right, Kelsey, you back? There we go.
All right. So just bear with me. I'm not sure how the screen sharing is going to go today. But if anything, I'll put it over into the comment sections if I disappear again. But here we go. We'll do the Wheel of Kelsey, and let's see who today's winner is.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. So today's Wheel of Kelsey, Christine says she'd love to use it, but she's just not at that stage yet. So maybe the next time we have Caleb on, you'll be able to enter. But anyways, I'll give us a spin and see who today's winner is. And it looks like it is
Simon.
Oh,
okay. Sorry, Simon.
Manish, you are the winner. Congratulations. I was actually just emailing Manish before this. So congratulations, first time winner. And we'll get you over the code for that. And just to let everyone know, there is a code for everyone, all the listeners. It's the enhanced tier. It's welcome 100 is the code. This is auditing is self-service, so there's no gain share fee. And you can visit sifted.com for that. Yeah. Thank you again, everyone, for entering.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks again, Caleb, for coming on. It was great. Time flew. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more questions too once people get a chance to download the podcast, and hopefully you can join the group and answer some of those questions.
Be happy to, Norm. Thanks so much for having me on. Looking forward to being on hopefully again in the future.
All right, great. Well, thank you again. And everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I think, we covered the importance of really watching your product, just watching the fees, either doing it yourself or finding an auditor that can do that for you. I'm telling you, if you do this, you could save a ton of money, and it's just money back that you never even thought you could get. I've seen it. Like I said, this is a home run, and it was a company that was selling quite a bit, but over $100,000, I think it was 120 something that was claimed. And it's not wild to see a few thousand, 10,000, 5,000. Imagine, if I got 1,000 back, I don't have to eat bologna anymore. I could eat a steak for at least a night or two. Anyways, check it out. And again, that code, You got nothing to lose. You can do it on your own. It's one click, and you can just try it and see what you get back. Anyways, enough on that. Kelsey, why don't you join me?
Okay, hopefully my Wi-Fi holds on till the end of this podcast. But of course, smash those like buttons. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode. Feel free to email us at k@lunchwithnorm.com if you have any comments, questions about the show, or maybe you have suggested guest topics. Let us know. I saw one comment come in the Facebook group, I believe, that mentioned that they want to see some inserts and talk about how to use inserts and the insert strategy. So that's a topic that we'll be looking into more. So make sure you join Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and eCommerce Collective. That's where all the fun happens. And we'll have a special webinar that's separate from the podcast happening this Friday with Clayton from Carbon 6. He's going to go over some tools that they have and how you can use them to excel your Amazon business. So check it out. It's only happening in our Facebook group. So make sure you join. And thanks again, everyone watching, for everyone entering today's contest. It's been a great episode. And yeah, I think that's about it.
And on Friday, I think Jeff Schick is going to be on. He's going to be talking about some Amazon suspension and all those fun issues that if you're tied up in, you got to know, how to write a plan of action, all that good stuff. Anyways, check it out. I got to meet Jeff in Mexico, and we started talking, and I said, yeah, you got to come on the podcast. So Friday, he's coming on, and he's going to be talking about a lot of great stuff. But until then, join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. I almost said 1 o'clock, at noon Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for being part of the community. We could not do this podcast without you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Lunch with Norm.